we begin with the death of an absolute legend in Hollywood. Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, found dead in their home in New Mexico late on Wednesday. Or actually, it was Wednesday afternoon. Police did not come out with this until late Wednesday night. And what is obvious to us now is that part of that delay in getting this information out from the police was that it is an absolute mystery. In fact, the way they describe it in documents they filed, they said it was suspicious. They had to get a search warrant to go in the house. And what they found inside, we're going to get into all the details in just a moment, because it does lay out exactly what they saw and leads you to believe a couple of things that might have been behind their deaths, but it is not clear at this point. So let's start with the call from a 911 operator, call to a 911 operator. This made by a maintenance worker who had come by the house on Wednesday and said that he saw one of them saw their bodies on the ground, and made this call.
I think we just found one deceased person inside the house. What's the address here? There's no address. There's no address. I'm going to wait for you at the gate.
1 second.
Damn.
Are they breathing?
I have no idea. I'm not inside the house. It's closed. It's locked. I can't go in. But I see them. She's laying down on the floor from the window.
Do they appear to be awake or alert?
No. It's not.
Okay. Are they moving at all?
No, dude. They're not moving. Just send somebody up here really quick.
Now, as someone who actually believes in due process, unlike the mainstream media that jumps to conclusions every time, it's important that we don't speculate too much before all the facts are in. But let's be honest, folks, something doesn't add up here. The police had to get a search warrant to enter the house? Why would they need that unless there was a reason to be suspicious? All right, let's talk about that 911 call. A maintenance worker finds the bodies and calls it in. But listen to his tone, he sounds completely freaked out. And what's even more chilling is that he mentioned seeing one body, meaning Hackman's wife, was visible from the outside. But then the police go in and find Hackman inside the kitchen? That means something happened inside that house that we don't have the full picture of yet.
Right, so It appears that he could only see Betsy.
Right.
And we now know from the police documents that Betsy was found near the bathroom.
Right.
They didn't say which bedroom it was off of. We assume it was the master.
Yeah.
But she was found laying there, and their dog, one of their dogs, they had 3 dogs. One of their dogs was about 10 to 15 feet away.
Yep. German Shepherd.
Right, in a closet, was also had also died. Gene was found, once police went in, they said that they found Gene Hackman's body off the kitchen. And it's really interesting what they say about how they describe the condition they found Gene in, because it starts to point to the fact that this was something, seems like it was something sudden, is the way the police describe it.
Yeah, so he was found, Gene was, near a door to the house. He had sunglasses that were lying next to him, suggesting that he would either been wearing them or had them in his hand. And it obviously wasn't, something that he anticipated happening. Given that the 2 bodies were in different places of the house, the dog was the deceased dog was somewhat close to Betsy. The thought is that all 3 of them were going about their usual routines in their day, and something catastrophic occurred rather suddenly.
Now, here's where things take a turn. Tim Zed says that police described the situation as suspicious. That's a big deal. That's not a term they throw around lightly. And if we've learned anything from recent cases involving celebrities, it's that the truth can take a while to come out. Let's not forget, they tried to make Jeffrey Epstein's suicide seem like an open-end shut case. Just saying. Now, let's take a moment to talk about Gene Hackman himself. Because this is a guy who walked away from Hollywood back in 2004, and you have to wonder why. He was at the top of his game, but he wanted nothing to do with the industry anymore. That tells you a lot. And honestly, I don't blame him. Today's Hollywood is full of leftist propaganda, pushing identity politics over actual storytelling. But Hackman, He was from a time when talent actually mattered. From The French Connection to Unforgiven, this man gave us some of the most memorable performances in film history. And unlike the modern-day crop of activist actors who spend more time on Twitter than actually acting, Hackman didn't care about all that nonsense. He did his job, he did it well, and he left when he wanted to.
And the other thing was that near Betsy's body, they found a space heater.
Yes.
And that immediately leads you to believe, all right, maybe there was, maybe this is carbon monoxide poisoning.
Right. Because, they said this, the authorities did, Charles, there was no outward signs that there was foul play. There was no blunt force trauma that was visible. And then you say, okay, if this took, took the dog's life and Gene and Betsy's, what could have happened? And you obviously think, would it be carbon monoxide?
So just to hit on this point, so the gas company came out and they said there was no evidence that there was any carbon monoxide leak from the pipes in the house. Some attention is obviously being paid to this space heater. It's a really large house. It's a sprawling, looks to be two-story, sprawling house in Santa Fe. And I don't know enough to say this for certain, but it would seem odd to me that a simple space heater could give off the kind of carbon monoxide that would kill two people
in different rooms,
areas of such a large house.
Right.
You know what? It's also interesting is that we said, Charles, they had 3 dogs, and 2 of the dogs survived. One of the dogs was actually
found outside.
Right, outside, but one of the dogs was still inside the house near Betsy.
So all of these things that you think are leading you down a path, and it just doesn't add up. And it is an absolute mystery. What happened at this point.
One other thing to point out, Charles, the door of the house was found by the maintenance workers to be slightly open. So we don't know if Gene Hackman opened it before he passed out or fell down, but it explains why one of the dogs was outside, another dog was alive but inside. So it's possible if we come to believe the carbon monoxide theory, it's possible that the dog who survived but was inside had been outside and was able to live that way.
You know what? Also, I think this is important that the police noted that it appeared that they had been dead for some time, right? At least a day. Could have certainly been more signs of, how that goes, decomposition and whatnot. But I think, Charles, if just because they tested and there was no carbon monoxide, there was no other gas
present at the time that they went in,
doesn't necessarily mean a day, 2, 3 days ago there was.
Right, and in fact, we spoke to family members, Gene Hackman, and at this point, their best theory is that this was carbon monoxide poisoning. That's not based on anything they in particular know about the house. I think they are looking at the facts as we have them, and that's their best guess. But police still trying to get answers here, and I think a lot of this will come from toxicology. You're going to, I would imagine, when they perform autopsies, they'll get toxicology, and then we'll get some specific answers. But when you just look at the scene, it's not clear.
Paula Lagapa here from Salinas, California. So, first things first, Gene Hackman was a phenomenal actor during, what some would say the golden era of cinema itself. So when I hear about the passing of not only him, but his dog and even his wife, I'm not only saddened by it, but naturally just a little bit suspicious. Why were there 2 other dogs there at the scene, alive and healthy, not to mention the door being ajar by the time that the wellness check was done? Naturally, I personally would say that this all seems just a little bit suspicious.
Yeah, that is the word that the police are using at this point, and hopefully get answers. And you're right about Gene Hackman's career. We are going to talk a little bit more about that later. God, you run through, French Connection,
Superman,
Unforgiven, the Superman
Hoosiers,
movies, Hoosiers. Just an incredible, and The Birdcage.
Yes.
He's brilliant in The
Fantastic.
Birdcage. We're going to talk more about his career a little bit later. All right.
So here's where we stand. We've lost a legend, but there are still a lot of unanswered questions about the circumstances of his death. As conservatives, we believe in truth and accountability. So we'll be watching this case closely to see what the real story is, because if history has taught us anything, the first version of events isn't always the full picture. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Was Hackman's death really just a tragic passing, or is there something more going on here? Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.